Are you rethinking the United States' relationship with NATO possibly getting out?
Well, I'm disappointed in NATO that we spend trillions of dollars on NATO. Think of it, trillions over the years, many trillions of dollars. It's one of the reasons we have deficits and we help other countries. And when they don't help us, I mean, it's certainly something that we should think about. I don't need Congress for that decision. As you probably know, I can make that decision myself. I'd work with some very smart people. And I'd always deal with Congress anyway, but I don't need Congress for that decision. But, you know, when you say rethink, I have nothing currently in mind, but I will say that I'm not exactly thrilled when we help them with Ukraine. Look, Ukraine would have been over in one day if we didn't help. Frankly, Ukraine would have been over in the first day. They had the best equipment in the world. It was our equipment given by Sleepy Joe Biden. No charge, no charge. Hundreds of billions of dollars of the best equipment in the world, no charge. I will say that I'm not happy about it.
Mr. President, two questions.
Did you see that? Did you?
Do you know these tits, Errol?
I know a lot of tits, Governor, but I don't know any quite as stupid as these two.
How much time? 30 seconds. I'm on right now. I don't believe you. What?
Howdy broody people. It's a Wet Your Whistle Wednesday. Doesn't time fly? Welcome to the stream. This is the Brews at 10 on my left eye. I'm your host Lefty. And let's brew this thing. Yeah, mightily relieved we even got through the introduction without any technical glitches this evening. Hooray! Sing, rejoice, and celebrate, everybody. But don't jinx us again, Davinia. Great to see you in chat. Graham Turner's also there. Rock yeah, as well. Flunky, great to see you also. Doc Davies joining us. There's a Doc in the house. There's a Doc in the house and there's a Dick in 10 Downing Street. And we'll be seeing quite a bit of him this evening. Yes, it's Keith's Catchphrases and PMQs. first time reaction with the game playing along at the same time. Increasingly popular, Keith's Catchphrases. A new challenger this week. We'll see what happens. More about what that's pertaining to, if you're not familiar with the feature or the channel. If so, then welcome. Please do subscribe, and then you can join others in the chat just 60 seconds later. 1 hot minute. Like a hot tasty beverage. And you can add your contributions or questions. Subscribed already or not, please do hit thumbs up as you join us on stream. Where chat's concerned as well, please do make sure that you've selected live chat, or you won't miss out on any of the inputs. JK, welcome to stream. Yes, time to get seriously annoyed. I was extremely surprised during the mini-game yesterday that there was 0-0, with Keir Starmer apparently answering questions that he definitely didn't write himself to camera for over 5 minutes without saying either of the 2 catchphrases that were selected. Incredible. Incredible.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Can dig that. We can also dig the 198 members that we have now on the screen, as you can see. Thank you very much, everybody. This is hot off the press. Today's latest figures. Thank you very much to those of you who've renewed and gifted to others, of course. Whilst you can see this list of excellent people, I have to get some obligatory self-promotion out of the way. Please do consider using super chats or super stickers if you're watching live to support this stream on the channel. Super thanks are available if you're watching back later on, and there's a Buy Me a Coffee page. You can check out the link for that in the description of any contents here on my left eye. And do feel free to give us a share around your social media and donate some hype points as well if you're watching on mobile or tablets. Thank you very much for all of your contributions through all of the mediums. Yeah, we have slipped just behind the 200 line again. I assure you this isn't any sort of, it's not a trick. I mean, I can get up the chart. It does fluctuate. Not everybody does renewed gifted memberships, etc. I believe that's all of the self-promotion done. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll be saying hello to Keith in a couple of moments.
Hello.
Coming to you this evening in classic 480 as well. It's a classic resolution. It's quality.
Socialists.
Oh my God.
Big Jerry, how do you brew? Nice to see you this evening. Rock, yeah, good point. Keith's catchphrases might be the only time where Keith is actually popular. It's the only time I'm certainly encouraged to listen to him speak. I think it was probably the only way that I could bring myself to do the live reactions in the first place, to be honest. There had to be some other incentive, some sort of game, something to distract us. And the game was born, and then later, the league. The mighty threat that they might face as a competitive sport. And we are getting on with it in just one moment. Now I've got notification, you can see there, the chat's disconnected. That's strange, and seems to be back.
On with it. Yes, get on with it.
That's a new one. Can add chat's disconnection to the list of things that can potentially go wrong on streams now. Don't have any comedy clips lined up. We will dive straight into Keith's catchphrases and PMQs. Right, let's go. Are you ready, Keith?
Oh no.
It did think about buffering for a couple of seconds there, didn't it? Anyway, here we go.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deliver.
Black hole plan for change.
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 Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, what's this all about for anybody who doesn't already know? We set two words or phrases against one another, keep score, keep count of the amount of times that they're mentioned. There is a league between the 10 contenders that we've selected, with one of them being the viewer's choice after a vote that we had fairly recently. These are the basic rules. The contending phrases have to be spoken by Keir Starmer himself. It's a winner stays on format, unless someone goes on a streak or whatever and they've played all of the other contenders. Also, both contenders will be replaced if it results in a draw. Third rule, slight variations are allowed, for example, past tenses, pluralisation, and so on. For scoring in the league, fourth rule, 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and nothing for a loss. Pretty self-explanatory. Let's see the latest standings. At the top, the current defending champion that will be defending this evening, Security, on 18 points now, following, was it a 3-1 win last week? It was either 3-1 or 3, I think it was 3-1. Postman Twat is in second with Deliver. That's the word. Don't think we've ever heard Starmer say Postman Twat. But that would be very good to see him do that, though. Budget in third, Change in fourth, Clear, which is the viewer's choice, in fifth. And at the bottom, we see Plan in sixth, Deal in seventh. On zero, all of the other contenders on zero, so I'll fix Black Hole. And finally, tonight's challenger, Inheritance. So we're going to give Inheritance another shot. Having played one, lost one, 0 mentions, so let's see if they can get on the board this evening. Security has played nearly all of the other contenders. And once you've played everybody else, that's it. That's all the points you can get in this game. Everybody clear with the rules. No, there's nothing for a pair doc because, well, there won't be any pairs. There might be some double speak. If that's what you mean. One final thing to mention though, people, do keep an ear out for the hidden feature. There is a hidden word around there, which anybody apart from Keir Starmer can say, and that will trigger the hidden feature on the game. My goodness. Who knows what's going to happen next? It's crazy. It's Keith's Catchphrases. Tonight at 7:30 on Channel 5. Seriously. No. Right, let's kick off as usual. Lindsay Hoyle, kick-off proceedings. There you see security and inheritance. 0-0. Off we go.
Personally read them myself.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions. Wendy Moore.
Please, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our deepest condolences are with the families and friends of the 2 young people who've died following the outbreak of meningitis B in Kent. Others are seriously ill, and this will be a deeply difficult time for their loved ones. Mr. Speaker, health experts are working to identify close contacts and distribute antibiotics, and will begin a targeted vaccination programme in the coming days. And can I take this opportunity to ask anyone who attended Club Chemistry on March 5th, 6th or 7th to come forward, please, to receive antibiotics?
Right, okay. Oh, fucking hell. I better go then. That's the thing. Right, see you next time, folks. Phil, you just close it down. See you later. Right. Fucking hell, I've got meningitis. No, only joking. I wasn't in that class. But I do just quickly want to say that a lot of the far right have been falling over this because look, the foreigners have come and spread this disease around the campus, completely ignoring, you know, most of the victims are British, young, fairly affluent, white kids. Yeah. But this is a fairly recent development, mostly contained at the moment, I think, this meningitis outbreak. Meningitis strain B in Kent. And Keith's a cunt. Sorry, he couldn't resist.
And Mr. Speaker, yesterday President Zelensky addressed parliamentarians. Many people were there, and I had the opportunity to reaffirm to him that no matter other international events, the UK's support for Ukraine will not waver. I also welcome Prime Minister Carney and NATO Secretary-General Rutte to Downing Street for further discussions on international security. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others, in addition to my duties in this House.
Strong opening.
Further such meetings later today.
Even in the intro,
You,
security scoring a point.
Associate myself with the comments and the condolences made by the Prime Minister regarding those people affected by the meningitis outbreak. New data today shows that nearly 60% of hospices are considering cutting frontline services. In the West Midlands, St Giles Hospice has already reduced beds and reduced staff due to financial pressures. So with services being cut, can the Prime Minister explain why hospices are being told to wait until autumn for the new framework, and will he commit today to proper long-term sustainable funding to secure this vital lifeline for the future?
Prime Minister.
It is important that the funding and the framework is put in place, and we support the work of hospices and doing everything we can to support them.
Dr. Ray Timble.
I want to say as well, this week you don't have to look out for the random flailing arm of the British Sign Language expert. that sometimes happens behind the chat, obscured by the chat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My constituent Caroline from Grenoside told me that since December the cost of her heating oil has nearly tripled.
Good advice there, don't get mad, get even.
£257
Nice.
to £700. Local farmers I met last week also raised their concerns that the oil industry has not been properly regulated, disadvantaging off-grid customers.
Absolutely.
Whilst I welcome the government's £53 million support package that
53, you talking about the national infrastructure concerning energy within the UK, throwing 53 million at it isn't really going to make much of a difference, is it?
was announced for rural communities. Will the Prime Minister confirm how disabled people, vulnerable and low-income households can access this support, and how he will improve regulation of oil to bring down the cost of energy bills?
Prime Minister. Well, can I thank her? My first instinct is always to protect people from the cost of living. The immediate action we've taken in relation to those that heat their homes with oil is the 53 million that we announced this week. That's particularly important for rural communities and, of course, northern.
That's piss poor. I mean, yeah, not every UK citizen can vote or is an adult, but that's barely even £1 each. You know what I mean? In the scheme of things. But he's just going to give fossil fuel companies carte blanche, I think, and fear. Unfortunately, it looks as though he might overturn moratoriums on North Sea exploration, trying to use the current Iran conflict as an excuse. Perhaps that's one of the reasons he wanted us to get involved in the first place anyway. But just to be very clear, of course, to clear up any confusion, just in case anybody didn't know, letting America attack Iran by setting off from UK Air Force bases doesn't count as being involved. Hope we're all very clear on that, and up is down and left is right.
Ireland, but de-escalation in the Middle East is the quickest way to reduce the cost of living, and anyone who advocated for the UK to rush headlong into the offensive without a clear picture
like
of what
you
it meant for our forces, or without thinking through the economic impact for families, should stand up and apologise.
Well, that's you and Donald Trump then.
The opposition, Kemi Beno. That was the biggest load of crap I've ever heard.
The Prime Minister tried to avoid scrutiny on the Mandelson files
Here she
by
goes,
releasing the
6 for 1.
immediately after Prime Minister's questions last week. So let me ask him now.
She has a reputation for asking him the same question over and over again, even though she's only allowed 6 attempts. It seems she's going to carry this through from last week as well.
The Prime Minister personally speak to Peter Mandelson about his relationship with the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein before appointing him as our ambassador to Washington.
Well.
Hidden feature unlocked. Hidden feature unlocked. Please try to remain calm during this extraordinary event.
Yes, it's the hidden feature. Here he is. Already scoring 1. It's Mandy. Where is he? There he is. Gets his own sordid little corner there. So that's 1 now. 1-0.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me start where I must. This was my mistake in making the appointment, and I've apologised to the victims of Epstein. I do so again. The government is complying with the humble address in full, but we are also continuing to support the police in their investigation. The matter of process was looked at by the independent advisor on ministerial standards. It's clear the appointment process wasn't strong enough, and that's why I've already strengthened it. But it was my mistake, Mr. Speaker, and I've apologised for it. She should follow suit and apologise for a gross error of judgment in calling for the UK to join the war in Iran without thinking through the consequences.
You already did that. she just said you should have
Mr.
done
Speaker,
it a bit more.
I know he doesn't want to talk about the documents he tried to bury last week. He's going to try and talk about anything else, but he's not going to get away with it. I asked him a question he did not answer. We know the Prime Minister was warned about the risk of appointing Peter Mandelson. This is not about the process. He knew that Mandelson stayed in Epstein's house after Epstein had been convicted for
That's a
child
double ding.
prostitution.
That's 3 now for Mandelson.
He knew that. So I will ask him again. Did he speak to Peter Mandelson about
And
this before
another.
the appointment? Yes
A triple
or no?
ding.
Prime Minister.
Ding,
Mr.
ding,
Speaker,
ding.
I've already
Do your
made
thing.
clear that he was asked questions and gave untruthful replies. The government is complying with the humble address. The process has been set out. The independent advisor has looked at it. And he said, quote, the relevant process for a political appointee was followed. Now, obviously, this is a question of my judgment, but what about her judgment? She wanted to rush into a war with Iran without thinking it through. At the weekend, Mr. Speaker, three weeks in, she said, oh, there isn't a clear plan behind the US strikes in Iran. That's the question she should have asked.
And if there isn't a clear plan, a Kia plan, or a clear plan, Kia. Is that right? Yeah. Then why did you turn around to Donald Trump and say, come to the United Kingdom, you can use our country as a launch pad for your illegal attacks on schools, killing children, 50 girls, right at the very start, plus multiple war crimes since. Oh, we're not part of this. I don't know. What's the best way of comparing it? What is the metaphor that you can look at? It's like lending Ted Bundy your car. Pretty much.
The start. The decision to commit the UK to a war is the biggest decision a Prime Minister can take, and she got it completely wrong.
They're not.
I didn't hear an answer, Mr. Speaker, and he's right. It is about his judgment. He has repeatedly told us that Peter Mandelson lied to him, but he won't tell us if he actually picked up the phone and spoke to Mandelson before appointing him. This doesn't make any sense. The Prime Minister told us on the record, and I quote, I believed the lies he told me. If the Prime Minister didn't speak to him, how can he say he lied to him?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the process is clear. It's been looked at by the independent advisor. And she asked me about the process. And
hate to agree with Badenoch on this one, but she's got you bang to rights. Absolutely, you knew him by reputation. At least the evidence, the suspicions, anything that should have led you to know that he is unsuitable for the role was right there. It was right there. You chose to ignore it. You took a political gamble and you lost. And that's it. You've been found out at the end of the day. No principles. It's all about power. Do you remember after he took over the Labour Party and in the run-up to the election, he was quoted as saying, we're now the party of power, not protest. At conferences, for example, people stood up. Someone who I know actually got up on stage at one of them, threw glitter and made a protest about a citizen's house. That is citizens' assemblies, this kind of thing. That was one of the examples. But the truth is, it's power over principles, not power over protest, really. Because he just is devoid of principle.
judgment on appointments. She appointed the Shadow Justice Secretary. He said last night that Muslims praying in public, including the Mayor of London, practising his faith, are not welcome. He described it as an act of domination.
What do you think people like the allegedly late Benjamin Netanyahu and Ben Gvir might say about Muslims praying in public? You know, your friends who take your cues from, and money as well, of course. Yeah, it's mostly the Labour Friends of Israel lobby.
Straight from the Islamist playbook. If we're in my team, he'd be gone. It's utterly appalling. She should denounce his comments and she should sack him.
He wants to talk.
Those are abhorrent comments, of course, but that's double standards from Keith, with Islamophobia being one of the core solid roots of Zionism, which he supports without qualification. His fucking words, not mine, Mr. Speaker. His fucking words, not mine.
Talk about justice secretaries. His justice secretary is abolishing jury trials. My shadow justice secretary is defending British values. I know who I would rather have sitting on the front bench next to me, and it's not him.
Prime Minister.
But Mr. Speaker.
Oh, it's handbags now.
Mr. Speaker, this is important. He does want to talk about anything else except what I'm asking him. 3 times I have asked him if the Prime Minister spoke to Peter Mandelson. 3 times he has refused to answer. We can only assume he did not speak to Peter Mandelson.
And
From
8.
the documents published, we know he left the questioning of Mandelson's relationship
And
with a
9.
convicted paedophile to 2 of Mandelson's closest
And
friends,
10.
one of whom was also friends with a convicted paedophile. Asking those questions should have been his job. Why did he fail to do his
quick enough?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, so her position is that the Shadow Justice Secretary is defending British values when he says Muslims praying together in Trafalgar Square are not welcome. Mr. Speaker,
When went to the Defend Our Juries protest at Trafalgar Square, a group of Muslims went over towards one of the fountains to pray, at which point one of the far-right live streamers, it was your man, what's he called? Is it Danny Tomo? Is that what he's called? It was that one. Went over and started to try and antagonise them, and it was really appalling to see. Could you imagine if a Muslim tried to interrupt a group of Christians praying, what the reaction from these 4 religious far-right dickheads would be? Of course, they try and appropriate Christianity the same way that Zionists try and appropriate Judaism, the same way that other groups try to appropriate Islam. So a lot of it gets very convoluted and whatnot. But I have experienced that antagonism, and it's absolutely revolting. Fortunately, he was kind of ushered away from the group of, I'd say, 6 men who went to go and pray. And bearing in mind this was just a few feet from a display which had scores of pictures of the dead children of Gaza all over it, which was indeed very emotional just to look at how someone can act so reprehensibly, disrespecting that religious ritual at the same time as ignoring the plight of those Gazan children. It's just beyond me. They're heartless and senseless at the same time, in equal measure. Tons of it.
even Tommy Robinson, I can hardly believe I'm saying this, has said today that if the Shadow Justice Secretary had made these hateful comments 2 years ago, the Conservative Party would have kicked him out. Now, Tommy Robinson isn't some sort of moral signpost. He was pointing out how much their party has changed. They're more inclined to his views, and he's right about that. The fact that he's sitting on her front bench shows she's too weak and has got absolutely no judgment.
The Prime Minister wants to talk about my leadership. I'm shocked because his former deputy has just fired the starting gun on the race to replace him. And I'll tell him one thing. She and I both agree that this weak man should be replaced by a strong woman. But I'm not finished, Mr. Speaker.
Well, she looked like she was finished. I thought she was going to sit down then. Oh, genuinely. So then Keith stood up, and then they were both awkwardly there for a couple of seconds, But she did look like she was going to sit down.
I'm
didn't she?
shocked because his former deputy has just fired the starting gun on the race to replace him. And I'll tell him one thing. She and I both agree that this weak man should be replaced by a strong woman.
Yeah, she went to fold her book up and everything. She was half sat down. And then she changed her mind and did a David Mitchell. And another thing.
But I'm not finished, Mr. Speaker. I have too much to say to him. There is still a lot to ask. There is still a lot to ask about the Mandelson files. There's still a lot to ask. The Prime Minister knew that Mandelson had kept up a relationship with Jeffrey
That's
Epstein.
two.
The documents
That was
released
two.
also show he'd been warned about appointing Mandelson.
And that's
He claims
three.
He was lied to. Mandelson had
And that's
twice
four.
been fired for dishonesty. So why did the Prime Minister believe Peter Mandelson
And that's
over the
five.
vetting documents?
5 more.
Mr. Speaker, she asked about
They're coming in
leadership. When I
batches
see
now.
religious events in
Christ.
Trafalgar Square, when I see Hindus celebrating Diwali, when I see Jews celebrating Hanukkah live, when I see Christians performing the Passion
Mandelson.
of Christ,
Bill.
or Muslims praying, that shows the great strength of our diverse city and country. I've never heard her party call out anything other than the Muslim events. It's only when Muslims are praying. The only conclusion is the Tory party has got a problem with Muslims.
Can I just say, people say, I am not responsible for the answers. I've just got to say that. Come here.
He just had to say that because he decided we'd got far enough in without him saying anything. He did make a deal about that with a mini statement prior to last week's, though, didn't he? Of course, he isn't responsible for the answers. He's just the speaker, and a very bad one at that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a shame he's not responsible for the answers either. The Prime Minister wants us to believe that he is a serious leader, but he doesn't do the work. He outsources the decisions, and when things go wrong, he blames the vetting, he blames the Chief of Staff, he blames the Cabinet Secretary, he blames anyone but himself.
Like the Tories
This Prime
did.
Minister appointed Peter Mandelson, but didn't bother to ask the questions. If he cannot be straight with the House on something as simple as this, why should we believe a word he says about anything?
She talks about doesn't do
Just the one
3
there.
weeks ago, she said we should rush into war.
16 now.
She didn't do
Incredible.
the work. She didn't think through the consequences. Committing our military to a war without thinking through the consequences is the gravest mistake a leader of the opposition can ever.
Back to the main
and
game.
she comes back a week later and says, "Oops, I got that one wrong." She's utterly irrelevant. And she's got no judgment. This is the leader of the
I was going to
opposition
go for security.
who said I should have empty-chaired the most important NATO summit in years. This is the leader of the opposition who said Greenland is a second-order issue. And this is the leader of the opposition who jumped into a war with Iran without stopping to think. On top of that this week, the failure to condemn and sack...
Keith, just before Hoyle comes in, apparently, you can't accuse, and again, I'm not defending Badenoch, I won't defend you either, you're both absolutely fucking terrible, but the leader of the opposition doesn't decide or give orders to the armed forces on what to do. That's you, Keith, and the Defence Secretary. Like, really? Yeah. It was you who got involved with Trump's business, wasn't it?
Order. And I will repeat again, I'm not responsible for the answers, but it's certainly not opposition questions.
Mr. Speaker, add to that the failure to condemn and sack the Shadow Justice Secretary for the poison and division that he spreads. It's turning out to be quite a month for the leader of the opposition, who claims she never makes any mistakes.
What? You're dragging us into World War III, man. You've drawn a target on our backs. I'll be honest, I can't really think of anything that Kemi Badenoch's done this week. And well, it's Wednesday. We're not very far into the week. But It's certainly all been about Keith.
Mr. Speaker.
Can we have some order here, Lindsay?
Just a... Sorry.
Sort this rabble out. There you go.
Hannah.
We've seen this play out before. A US rush to military escalation with no plan for what comes next. We've seen schoolgirls bombed in Iran, whole families killed in Lebanon, chaos in a region already scarred by repression and genocide and economic shocks that hurt the most vulnerable at home. In Irish, there's a phrase, Ní altar and Sianach we go, have we learned no lessons? People are asking exactly that. How many times do these horrors play out before the lessons are learned? The Prime Minister has said that the US will not be drawn into a wider war.
Damn right!
Can he guarantee two things, that that position will hold in the face of mounting pressure from Trump and Netanyahu, and can he guarantee that this House would get a vote before the UK involves in any further conflict?
Apologies for pausing one moment. Got a bit of a freeze here. I'll sort this out. And we're back. I think we're back. It's back on studio. Yeah, all looks good. Hedy, yeah, she is like a headless chicken. It's good to see this one talking sense as well. Yeah, Keith doesn't know he's the Prime Minister. Rock, yeah. That's the only way I can say your name. Rock, yeah. But good point. Yeah. Trying to blame Kemi Badenoch for his mistakes. Pretty pathetic. Utterly irrelevant and got no judgment. Yeah, that does sound like Starmer himself. I believe this member is from Sinn Féin. Oh no, they don't attend Parliament, do they? Of course. As a protest traditionally. Fine Gael, maybe? Not sure. Do recognise the face. Forgive me for being inaccurate in calling that one out.
From Trump and Netanyahu, and can he guarantee that this House would get a vote before the UK involves in any further conflict?
Prime Minister. Unlike the Leader of the Opposition, my principles have been clear and
I don't think the DUP, no, I don't think the DUP would ask such a aggressive question on warfare. No.
unwavering. We will protect our people in the region. We will take action to defend ourselves and our allies.
I should know
and
this
we will
as well.
not be drawn
Apologies.
into the wider war. I want to see this war end as quickly as possible. Mr. Speaker, the longer it continues, the bigger the impact on the cost of living. And that's where we've intervened to support households with costs of heating oil. The best way forward is a negotiated settlement with Iran giving up any aspirations to develop a nuclear weapon.
Oh, fucking stick it up your arse, Starmer. Aspirations to develop a nuclear weapon. Really? Really? Come on. That is a dead horse. It really is an absolute dead horse. Contemptible lies.
David, Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And even if it is true, then it's just ranked double standards. Of course, oh yeah, we're allowed nukes, but they're not. Come on.
Speaker, and can I join the Prime Minister in offering my condolences
SLDP,
to the family and friends
thank you.
of the 2 young people who've been killed by the meningitis bug in Kent, and all those affected by this horrifying outbreak. Mr. Speaker, Britain's independent nuclear deterrent is critical for the defence of our nation.
Claire Hannah, of course. Yes, Claire Hannah. Only one Jones. 2. Thanks for the confirmation.
And for the whole of Europe. But the current Trident missiles will reach the end of their lives in the 2040s, so we have to make a choice now. Lease new missiles to the United States, accepting whatever terms the President gives us, or build our own here in the United Kingdom. And the Conservatives and Reform say we have to rely on President Trump and the United States because we couldn't possibly do it ourselves. Does the Prime Minister agree with them?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our independent nuclear deterrent protects us every day, and we should never forget how important it is. And it is.
No, nuclear weapons are for psychopaths.
important that we renew it. We will do that in the best interests of Britain. I mean, he's openly advocating a plan which he doesn't know how much it would cost and how it would work.
Well, tell me this. Iran are currently twatting Israel all across the floor. But Iran don't have nuclear weapons, but Israel do. So if they do work as a deterrent, then why aren't they working for Israel? Yeah, they've not signed the non-proliferation treaty, etc. But that's just another example of why the deterrent argument just doesn't wash. Trident costs hundreds of billions of pounds. Hundreds of billions of pounds in the UK. The nuclear armed submarine network that we have for a deterrent. What, you're so bad diplomatically at your job, you can't settle matters over a table in the 21st century like we're all supposed to be capable of. So you need weapons that indiscriminately kill millions of people within a split second. Instantly vaporise them. No, that's maniacal. And if you do feel like you have to use a nuclear weapon, then you have failed in your job as a politician, as a diplomat, as a leader of a head of state. It's for the desperate and the mad. And there's only one country that's ever dropped them, and it's the United States of America. Twice, within days, on Japan.
That isn't the way to deal with our independent nuclear deterrent.
Sir Ed David. Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm surprised at that response. The French can do it. Does the Prime Minister really think Britain can't? But moving on, Mr. Speaker, a New World investigation into GB News has found hundreds of shocking breaches of the rules of impartiality
what a surprise.
And accuracy. Yet Ofcom has repeatedly refused to take action. Andrew Neil says, just as Fox basically became the channel of Donald Trump, it is clear they have turned GB News into the Reform channel. Mr. Speaker,
I did see something about this earlier. I don't know what Andrew Neil was expecting. I nearly said Andrew Marr then. What Andrew Neil was expecting, he's not part of it anymore. You know, they set up the channel as a tax dodge for Tories who thought they weren't getting enough airtime and accused the BBC of being woke and socialist. The genocide-denying banned list of words on the news. Yeah, very socialist. In fact, you know, if you just randomly flick through the channels, you'll think, God, who are these hardcore commie anarchists? Like, really? Unbelievable. But it was bound to go that way for GBBs. Of course it was. Doomed to fail. And now, yeah, it's just basically Reform TV. As much as it irks me to agree with Andrew Neil. But it is, and it's pathetic. It's not a news corporation. It's, well, I think, for legal reasons, it has to describe itself as a discussion show. Something like this is one of those technicalities within show business that people often use. News, it absolutely is not, though, of course.
we cannot let GB News
And if you're watching Matt Goodwin, yeah, get in the sea.
propaganda turn our great country into their version of Trump's America. Either the government rules aren't fit for purpose, or Ofcom isn't properly enforcing them. Prime Minister, which is it?
Prime Minister.
Well, he's right to raise an important question of free speech and our media. It is a matter for Ofcom, and it's important that we let them deal with it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Violence against women and girls is a global emergency. It's a key concern that we discussed at last week's United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. Social media platforms are promoting and profiting off vile online misogyny. It's made its way onto playgrounds, workplaces, relationships, and even our politics, harming women and girls and exploiting young men and boys. In the manosphere, everyone loses. Can I ask the Prime Minister what this government is doing to tackle the harm being caused by hateful forces online? online.
Prime Minister.
Can I thank her and the others who attended the UN Commission for the Status of Women event? We are committed, Mr Speaker, to halving violence against women and girls wherever it takes place, whether that's online, offline or on our streets. That includes banning deepfakes, tackling non-consensual intimate images and abusive vile content online. And can I say, Mr Speaker, following up from last week, I was deeply concerned that Travelodge cancelled their meeting with MPs. I want them to put that right and put it right swiftly.
Should Jeremy Wright?
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker.
That was concerning an incident that happened at a Travelodge. I'm not too sure about the specifics. I think Starmer's trying to shirk responsibility onto the hotel. Can't say how responsible they may or may not be for the incident at the same time. Graham, yeah, Ofcom, pretty useless as well. Most regulatory bodies are at the moment. A lot of corruption in there as well. Of course, there's just basic ineptitude. And there's too many solutions are proactive. You know, it's always after the fact when we could take so many steps in the preventative sense. Not just with regulation of television, with the Ofcom thing, but a whole host of other things. It's nowhere near good enough. And especially where utility and transport regulators are concerned as well.
In January of last year, I raised with the Prime Minister the issue of inadequate and inaccessible compensation for those injured by COVID vaccinations. The Prime Minister undertook to look into it along with the Health Secretary, but I'm afraid that more than a year later, no significant progress has been made. Now, I know that the Prime Minister and the Government recognise the risk this issue poses to public confidence in mass vaccination, all the more important given the Prime Minister's opening session, and indeed the pain it's caused to those who've been injured or lost loved ones, only doing what their government asked them to do. So can I ask the Prime Minister please to re-engage with this issue and ensure that his government makes swift progress now in resolving it?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank him for raising it, acknowledge the question he asked me last year in relation to this, and actually pay tribute to him and to Kate for her campaign. It's vital that we look closely at the rare and tragic cases where things went wrong. We mustn't fail to do so, because that will maintain confidence in our health service. Important in relation to COVID, of course, but important, as he rightly points out, today as well. We are committed to looking at reforms to the vaccine damage payment scheme and engaging with those affected to make sure it meets their needs. Specifically, we expect the fourth module of the COVID inquiry to report next month, which will look specifically at the issue that he has raised. And I can reassure him we'll look at other recommendations very closely.
Don Butler.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. At the international conference last week, it is clear that mobile phone theft is international organised crime, dragging in young people as young as 14 years old. The Mayor of London and the Met Commissioner have spent money in latest tech to combat this crime, and it's working, but they need help. Manufacturers have the ability to invoke a kill switch so that mobile phones stolen are worthless, but they're not doing it. Samsung's taking it more seriously than Apple. Will the Prime Minister agree with me that if manufacturers do not do this, that the government will implement legislation to design out crime and keep our streets safe?
Prime Minister.
Do you remember last week when the 10 MPs supposedly met with Zach Polanski to discuss? It was supposed to be informal, but we all know what it was all about, defections to the party. A lot of people brought up Dawn Butler's name in that conversation as well. What do you think, people? What are the chances that Dawn Butler was one of those 10 people in that conversation? Because you can certainly count the number of decent Labour MPs on your digits.
Can I thank her for her question and welcome the Mayor of London's crackdown? The Metropolitan Police have made hundreds of arrests, recovered thousands of phones, and mobile phone theft has fallen. I agree with her there's more to do, and we must work with tech industry in order to do so, because if we can reduce the value of stolen phones, it helps bring the business models that drives theft. So we're committed to those working with the industry. We're willing to consider any further necessary action to drive down on this.
Martin Ridley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, the Chancellor announced £2 billion funding for UK sovereign AI and quantum. And the DCIT Select Committee was told government procurement will adapt to encourage UK companies to develop sovereign AI systems for government use. In light of these positive events, will the Prime Minister ensure this happens with key digital systems in health, defence and policing made sovereign and not
We can't wait for it to steal people's jobs.
contracted to
Which is
politically
what we're going to
motivated
use it
US
for.
companies like Palantir, but re-tendered to UK companies?
Prime Minister. Can I thank him? And as he says, the Chancellor set out yesterday the huge economic opportunities of innovation and AI.
And he gives that the moniker economic opportunities, putting thousands, potentially millions of people out of work without any sort of safety net, social safety net for them whatsoever.
We've put £5 billion behind British startups and we'll launch our sovereign AI unit with $500 million to help AI businesses start and grow. Investing the $2 billion that he referenced in our quantum capabilities so we can be the first country in the world to roll out quantum computers at scale.
I'm not being anti-tech. I know that it does have applications in medicine, identifying diseases, etc. But I'm talking in the manufacturing sense as well, especially automation, artificial intelligence. The combination thereof is going to put a lot of people out of work. That's just one example. Whilst there are legitimate fields, I can't help because, let's say, capitalism has something of a reputation for not perhaps making the best use of technology, only using it for profit for private companies, for exponential growth that can go on and on and on. You betcha.
Procurements must be the launch pad for startups, and we're determined to deliver that.
Paul David.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I went for the button.
NHS waiting
I went for the
lists are
button
down
nearly.
374,000, thanks to this government.
No deliver.
While reform would take us back to the days when decent healthcare was only for people who could afford it. Innovation needs to be at the heart
data
of our health
collection as well.
service when striving for
Point
better
grade.
patient care. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that Huddersfield Royal Infirmary's partnership with Huddersfield University's Health Innovation Centre is a great example of this? And can he tell me how the government intends to expand the brilliant model of health innovation centres nationally?
Well, it is a good example, and he makes a very powerful point. Thanks to our record investment in the NHS, Mr. Speaker, we have the lowest waiting list for 3 years, the shortest waits in A&E for 4 years, and the fastest ambulance response time for 5 years. Stronger community health services, like the local innovation centre that he mentions, are at the heart of our 10-year plan to go further. But we would not have come this far already, Mr. Speaker, without the decisions made at the budget, which were opposed by all of the parties opposite.
Sir David Davis.
Budget's
Thank you,
also
Mr.
getting a
Speaker.
mention.
Last week, in the government's attack on jury trials, his own backbenchers said the following: unworkable, unjust, unpopular.
It's Davis. Is he going to take a pop at the move against jury trials?
Popular, unnecessary, wrong in principle, wrong in practice, oppressive, authoritarian, and quite honestly, reactionary. 3,000 of his own lawyers, his own fellow lawyers, said juries have not caused this crisis. And the Prime Minister himself, earlier in his career, said scrapping juries enables wrongful convictions. Now
Lammy as well. They don't like their own words being read back to them, do they? Let's not forget his seat's under threat as well in Tottenham. Yeah, deludedly thinks the Greens don't have a chance. Watch this space, people. And look at them both. Sitting there squirming, you know. Yeah, when they were campaigning to become leader in Starmer's case, when they're campaigning for your vote in elections, they'll protect your rights, and then as soon as they're in the door, they're stripping them down.
The Institute for Government is saying that they are massively overestimating the savings they're going to make on this. So let's be clear. His backbenchers oppose it, his professional colleagues oppose it, and in a previous life, he opposed it. So why is the Prime Minister forcing through a policy that's unjust in principle, unworkable in practice, and opposed by everyone?
This isn't neoliberal.
Mr. Speaker, we're not abolishing jury trial, and he knows that. I've worked with women and girls who've been victims of sexual violence and rape, who have waited a very, very long time for their cases to come to court. Many of them drop out because of the...
Don't you dare use those cases as a political football to say that it's going to help with the processing of those. That's abhorrent. That's abhorrent. And to say it's a binary choice as well between one group of cases and another at your convenience, at your political convenience as well. Pretty pathetic concerning the type of cases that he's referring to.
They have described to me personally the mental anguish that they go through when their case can't get heard for years, when they're told of adjournments.
And you said, oh, it's okay, we're going to scrap jury trials so that we can get your case through. I don't think that's a conversation that ever happened, Keith. No chance. No.
I find that rather difficult to believe.
Time and time again, I'm not prepared to look them in the eye any longer and not do something about it. We owe it to them. This is about getting the balance right. We're not abolishing jury trial. There's about 3% of cases go to jury trial, as he very well knows. 97% don't. After this, it'll be 2.25%.
So that's removing them. If you weren't removing them, it would stay the same, wouldn't it?
That is the difference between the policy we're advancing and the policy as it now is. So it's not abolishing jury trials, but I'm not prepared to see those who've been victims of violence.
Look at Lammy looking as though he doesn't know the fucking time of day. Oh, we're moving trials by jury? What's all the talk of that? It wasn't my idea. Why does he look so confused? It's like, you know, when someone's been caught in the act, what? You can tell that they're playing dumb. That's what we're seeing here, but these are constituent MPs, these are cabinet MPs, these are people with ministerial positions. For goodness sake.
Against women and girls, I'm not prepared to see them repeatedly let down. That's what happened for 14 long years. It's not good enough, and I set my face about doing something about it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I spent 20 years as a secondary school teacher in Wales. We worked hard. Labour has given them the biggest upgrade of rights in a generation. Rights that millions of us fought hard to win. But the honourable member for Clacton wants to chuck it all in the bin. Does the Prime Minister stand by these rights and agree that...
I quite like this boisterous address and the fact that he's having a go at Farage.
Only a vote for Labour in May
Where's
will
this guy
enshrine these
representing?
fundamental workers' rights.
Which Welsh constituency?
Mr. Speaker, I'm very proud of our
Oh, no,
Employment
it's-
Rights Act.
Yeah.
It delivers strong rights and protections, including for all our brilliant school staff. And reform, he's right, would rip up those protections. They have nothing to offer but grievance and division. And, Mr. Speaker, they have no judgment, because just like the Leader of the Opposition, the member for Clacton said we should do all we can to support the US strikes, and he said, I make...
That was a planted question, though. That's the only problem with it. Planted question, you see. But just a general Farage bashing. The Greens haven't had a question yet, or the SNP, I've noticed, or may have missed, if they haven't. But usually does the same with them as well. And he'll probably turn it up a lot more where the Greens are concerned now, because surely even Starmer knows that they're the real threat, even if David Lammy doesn't.
That perfectly clear. It was perfectly clear. He got it completely wrong, and perfectly clear that he's now desperately trying to U-turn. Absolutely no judgment, not fit to be Prime Minister.
Nigel Farage.
Oh, fucking hell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Over the course of the last year, our North Sea neighbours, Norway, have opened 49 drill
He's an
sites
asshole,
for
sir.
gas and oil. On our side of the North Sea, the number is 0. Given that our critical reserve of natural gas is down to 2 days and how vulnerable we are, and with talk potentially of energy rationing coming later this year, isn't it time we changed course, got rid of excessive taxation on the exploration companies, opened up the licences, became self-sufficient in natural gas, and with that would come thousands of jobs, increased tax revenues, and cheaper gas prices. Isn't it time we followed Norway?
I'm not hearing any of this. It just washed over me.
Mr. Speaker, oil and gas will be part of the mix of our energy for many, many years to come, as I've set out many, many times. But he's now highlighting...
I will say that Reform... I do know what he was generally asking. Reform are in a bit of trouble, of course, as well, for setting up this publicity stunt with subsidised fuel, essentially bribing voters, that is, when prices were going up to, by 10 pence a litre per day. And they were trying to, electioneer off of the back of that, but bribing voters, pretty serious charge, especially in that fashion. Quite vulgar as well, if you don't mind my saying so.
The consequences of the war that he said we should rush into. He wanted us to go to war. He said it was perfectly clear that we should support the strikes. Then, just like the leader of the opposition...
If we weren't letting the United States of America use our bases, they wouldn't be able to carry out the strikes. Keith?
A week later, he said, oh, no, I got that one wrong. You can't make mistakes
Steer
about
karma.
decisions as serious as committing to war. It's a gross error.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 95% of the food that we import from non-EU countries has lower welfare standards than that of British farmers, costing us millions and putting worse food on our plates. So that's why the Labour Rural Research Group will be shortly launching our spring push on farming profitability to support British farmers by introducing honest labelling and levelling the playing field for trade and regulation. So will the Prime Minister commit to meeting with me and the LRRG to discuss how we can work to back British farmers and improve their profitability?
I'm very happy to discuss that with my honourable...
General chatter in the background about farmers. We'll get farmers. Make money for farmers, yes, no. That was basically the question in a very monotonal fashion, if that MP doesn't mind my saying so. But seeing as it was a planted question anyway, they can probably get fucked.
Friend, we will always protect high welfare standards and through our food and drink deal, bringing down barriers for farmers selling to our largest market. Mr. Speaker, alongside a record £11.8 billion farming budget and investing in cutting-edge innovation, our farming profitability review is focused on boosting profitability.
What was that? Profitability review.
Already acted and set up the... We will always protect high welfare standards and through our food and drink deal, bringing down barriers for farmers selling to our largest market. Mr. Speaker, alongside a record £11.8 billion farming budget and investing in cutting-edge innovation, our farming profitability review is focused on boosting profitability. Now, I've already
Partridge, that, wasn't it?
And set up the Farming and Food Partnership Board, investing £30 million in our Farmer Collaboration Fund.
Greg Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Traffic chaos from a botched road realignment affecting Calvert Green, Steeple, Claydon and Twyford. Landowners
Chaos. Okay.
still awaiting payment for land taken. Woeful underfunding of promised mitigation projects in Wendover in inadequate noise modelling. Now, the Prime Minister and I used to, many years ago, be united in our opposition to HS2. Yeah. He changed. But with the upcoming HS2 reset, will he make a personal intervention to ensure that my constituents and communities living with this hell on earth of a construction project are finally treated with the fairness and respect that they deserve?
James Holmes.
Can I thank him
picking up.
I do know how much it impacts
Celebrating 14 months of membership.
Feel,
it's been awesome to have you the whole time, brother. Thanks for being with us in chat. Solidari-Tea.
That was left, that we bear in mind and have in our mind's eye those that are most affected.
Apologies, I'll just have to skip back in case I missed security or inheritance.
constituents and how deeply they feel about.
He changed. But with the upcoming HS2 reconstruction project, are finally treated with the fairness and respect that they deserve.
Prime Minister. Can I thank him for raising this? I do know how much it impacts his constituents and how deeply they feel about it. And it is important, as we reset and clear up the mess that was left, that we bear in mind and have in our mind's eye those that are most affected and make sure that it is fair and that their voices are heard, and we will do so.
Oliver Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Burnley-Manchester Road Station is a key driver for growth. It's Burnley's link to Manchester and Leeds, and more importantly for them, it's their link to Burnley. It's had over 500,000 journeys last year, and yet it's inaccessible, despite big, empty promises from the last Tory government. We're no further to fixing it. A promise of funding was made, which never came. Will he help me get this delivered and back my campaign to make Burnley-Manchester Road an accessible, modern station fit for Burnley's ambition?
It's a road question about a place you don't live in, again, on PMQs.
He's a great champion on this issue, and I'll make sure he gets a meeting with the rail minister to discuss the detail. The previous government took the decision not to shortlist Burnley-Manchester Road Station for accessibility improvements. We're giving Lancashire Combined County Authority £641 million.
But you won't give Andy Burnham a selection to stand in a by-election, will you, Keith? Oh no, that turned out for you.
With the freedom to invest in their priorities, including better accessibility. That's what a Labour government represents, empowering local people to make the best decisions for their local area.
Andrew Snowden.
Locally.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Every week the Prime Minister comes here and reads out this pre-scripted nonsense that bears no resemblance to the questions he's actually...
Quite right. Quite right.
The Leader of the Opposition asked him about Peter Mandelson and he answered about the war in Iran.
And
the Leader
another.
of the Opposition asked him about Mandelson again and he
And
answered
he's
an
back.
attack on the Shadow Justice Secretary. He was asked about Mandelson again
And
talked
three.
about protests in London. What is he scared of? What is he hiding? For a man who has spent years presenting himself as a forensic investigator, he has certainly had a blind spot to the details for this convicted paedophile with a friend in high Labour places. So I shall ask him again. When he found
This is the
out
question
that
of the
Lord
week.
Mandelson had an ongoing relationship with the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein,
20.
did he
Into
speak
the
to him
20s.
personally before appointing him ambassador to the United States?
Mr. Speaker, we've set out the process. It is being put before the House. But I know why they don't want to. They don't want to talk about the war because they supported
Don't mention
going
the
into
war.
the war without thinking through
Don't
the
mention the
consequences.
war.
That is a huge error of
I nearly did earlier, but I think I got away with it.
judgment. I realise they don't want to talk about it ever again. I'm not surprised. Nor do they want to talk about the Shadow Justice Secretary saying that Muslims are not welcome to prayer in Trafalgar.
God, wait a minute. This is in response, and bearing in mind he started the question with the answers not bearing any kind of the answers having nothing to do with the question whatsoever, and now it's this about he asked you about Mandelson's appointment, and this, oh God, you are literally proving his point right there in real time. But just go back. He just steered off so quickly, and now he's lost, totally lost. This is the thing that won't go away. This is what is going to drag him down. It will be reflected in May's local election results, that's for sure. And now coming into the second half of March, the local election's not very far away. There might not be too many more games of Keith's catchphrases, and he's got to know it.
Being put before the House, but I know why they don't want to. They don't want to talk about the war because
he wasn't talking about the war. He was asking you about Mandelson.
They supported going into the war without thinking through the consequences. That is a huge error of judgment. I realise they don't want to talk about it ever again. I'm not surprised. Nor do they want to talk about the Shadow Justice Secretary saying that Muslims are not welcome to prayer in Trafalgar Square. She should remove him from their front bench, or I suspect he'll be up there next on that trail.
Matt Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the Prime Minister mentioned earlier, the CEO of Travelodge has today again refused to attend a meeting with wider members of this House and the other place to answer serious concerns about guest safety and safeguarding. This refusal only deepens the lack of trust in the company's commitment to protecting women and vulnerable guests. Will the Prime Minister meet with me and invite the CEO of Travelodge to discuss the issue? And will he join me in urging the CEO to explain directly to all parliamentarians why she is unwilling to face scrutiny on such an important matter?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank him for raising this, and he's raised this with me personally. Our thoughts are obviously with the victims. I was very concerned to hear that the CEO of Travelodge cancelled the meeting with MPs, and I would urge them to reconsider. That meeting needs to go ahead with relevant MPs and with the relevant minister, and the sooner it goes ahead, the better. And I hope that the CEO of Travelodge is listening to this exchange, and I thank him for raising it, not just on this occasion, but on repeated occasions.
That completes Prime Minister's questions. Let the front benches change over.
That's it. That's all there is. Well, the official game, low scoring, 1-0. Of course, got off to a quick start, but then nothing to follow up. So just a simple 1-0 win for security, nothing for inheritance, but quite the run for Mandelson. That doesn't count towards the league. It's just the hidden feature. So that was that. Wow. Okay. Let's see how that will impact on the league, actually. So that will take security to 21, with just one other contender remaining before it'll have to end its run. So that'll come next time. And in the bottom half of the table, fortunately, today's challenger will stay at the bottom of the table. 2 appearances now, no mentions, no points. Got to give them all a chance though. But what did you make of this session? Let us know in the chat or in the comments if you watch back later on. Doing my best to try and keep up with the chat during PMQs. Obviously I do have to listen out for the phrases and so on. But thanks very much for keeping it cordial. As things progress, that will be it for this week's episode of Keith's Catchphrases. Till next time, people.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deliver. Black hole plan for change. 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 Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, to the old subsidised bar. There are quite a few of them in the House of Commons as well. Right, we'll move on now. Just a few more clips to get through.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
A few more topics. First off, I want to touch on an update from a story yesterday. Of course, a friend of mine, fellow Take Back Power supporter, was arrested. He has now been released. That was a short time after our stream yesterday. There were people there to meet him, a great amount of support. Of course, this video has now been released with David's arrest. I don't know if you saw this one today. I'll just share this one with you. This is from just from Take Back Power's social media. It's not my footage.
Yeah, Reed. David, you alright? How's it going?
Yeah, Reed.
Not too bad, mate. I'm going to arrest you, okay? Okay. Yeah.
Guys, I just want to point out as well, that was almost like he's not done this before. Yeah, correct. Yeah, not too bad. Could be worse. Starts to talk anyway. Not the usual shtick, to be honest.
Not too bad, mate. I'm going to arrest you, okay? Okay. Yeah.
He forgot what he had to say, I think, for a moment.
Not going to lie. Put your hands up. What is? Why are you arresting me? I'm going to arrest you. Could I ask, please? Certainly. Conspiracy to commit criminal damage in relation to Lewis Hotel on the 13th of December. So you don't have to say anything but it may harm your defence. You do not mention one question, something which you later relied in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence.
Can I ask you a question?
In a minute.
When are you going to arrest the real criminals? That's my question.
Oh, okay. Come in.
The super rich that steal from us every single day.
Where's your room?
It's just at the top of the stairs.
Okay, come up.
This is quite a lot for non-violent protest, isn't it?
Okay, can I take a seat for a second?
We are.
I can't believe they've handcuffed him at the front as well. Before they start going and searching his room now, I know he's a very tall guy, is David. Well over 7 feet tall. But that's really unnecessary to put the cuffs on him in the first place. Knowing that they're going to go and search his property as well. Very excessive, isn't it? I think.
So what we need to do, your arrest is necessary so we can...
of course I'm biased.
At the police station, under caution, okay? We also need to prevent any loss of evidence by way of searching for evidence in your room. Okay. Okay? Relating to this stuff.
So, the Metropolitan Police have driven up to Manchester today to arrest me for conspiracy to commit
200 miles.
damage, is that right? Yeah.
200 miles.
The question I would like to ask is, when will you start arresting the real criminals, right? The super rich, they steal from us every single day, and they are driving this country into the ground. Ordinary people can't afford to put food on the table, whilst the super rich are raking in millions and billions in profit. It's just an absolute joke. What a waste of police resources this is. But we're not going to be scared. We're not going to be silenced. And anyone who's interested, get yourself to takebackpower.net.
What's in there?
Basement, do not use. Yeah, that's what the landlord said.
Oh, were they your front door keys?
Yeah,
yes, you'll take them.
You're not going to come back, are you?
Come back here. Not taxi service, unfortunately, Dave.
No, I didn't mean like that. This is Britain in 2026. Dare to talk about non-violent protest, and the police will come knocking around your house and raid your room. We're not going to let this silence us. We simply can't, because inequality in this country is out of control. It's a complete crisis. And people need to stand up. So come and join us. Get yourself to takebackpower.net. Get involved.
Okay.
Smile.
Yeah, so just to remind you, they actually arrested him under a conspiracy charge for an action which took place in December last year at the Ritz Hotel. That was the tipping of manure at the foot of the Christmas tree. I think we saw footage of that on yesterday's stream, didn't we? But that had nothing to do with what happened on Saturday with the supermarket redistribution actions. Just as a reminder, quite bizarre, and they drove all the way from London for that, the London Met. Wow. So that's the latest. As I said, he's now been released. And he's feeling okay, as far as I best know. So, shout out to David if you're watching, friend of the channel. Solidari-Tea. That was totally unnecessary. We do have to move on now, though. Yeah, but the food crisis, it's not just here in the UK, it's worldwide. I spoke a bit more about that on yesterday's stream as well. Can't go on about that too much. Just for the sake of brevity, this evening. Do keep your comments coming in on the chat though. Make sure you've hit thumbs up. Just a quick reminder before we do move on. Ways you can support the stream are with super chats, super stickers if you're watching live, super thanks, thanks even if you're watching back later on. And there's Buy Me a Coffee page in the description of any content on the channel. Check out the links, hit the buttons. We're going to see a couple of takes on Iran next as we move on to international affairs. Of course, that came up during PMQs as well. But this is Zach Polanski's take on it
18 days ago.
Today at the new Economic Foundation during a speech. Just, yeah, that's lined up okay. This won't be his full speech, just a short excerpt. He makes no bones about his stance where it's concerned.
18 days ago, the US and Israel launched an illegal bombing campaign in Iran. Already well over 1,000 civilians are dead, including 110 children, killed by a missile now widely believed from the USA. Despite the killing of the leader, the repressive Iranian regime remains in place, with many saying the new leader could be even more hardline than his father. This was not a war of self-defense. There was no imminent threat. Negotiations were ongoing. It was, as the BBC's international editor said, a war of choice. People across the Middle East are terrified of what Trump and Netanyahu's war will mean for them and their loved ones. And the repercussions are echoing across the world as instability spreads and oil prices spike. Here in the UK, we watch in despair as those B-52 bombers take off from our soil and as our economy reels from the shockwaves of this war. Struggling families are seeing price rises coming towards them like a freight train hurtling down the tracks while they're stuck, helpless.
Sorry about the audio issue there. That was on the original clip.
Some are profiting off this misery and bloodshed. Oil company shares have soared to all-time highs. But here in the UK, it is ordinary people who are paying the price.
Absolutely correct. Very refreshing to hear that as well. Badenoch, of course, said that we didn't do enough. Starmer completely painted himself into a corner out of excuses on the matter. We just should never have been there in the first place. Well said. And of course, for balance, here's a clip from someone else who needs no introduction on this channel, I'm sure, from statements in Parliament.
In this overarching statement on the Middle East by the Foreign Secretary, it's surprising she didn't take the opportunity to condemn the continuing genocide in Gaza, the brutality is there, and the invasion of Lebanon by Israel, and the continued supply of British weapons. Trump has declared war on Iran without any war war objective or war plan. We are involved in that. And can she end this nonsense about whether we're sending defensive or offensive strikes from this country? The reality is, if a bomber takes off from RAF Fairford and bombs civilian targets in Iran, we are involved in that act of aggression against the people of Iran. Shouldn't we join Spain and say no to the USA? In this...
We should, but unfortunately we won't, because we know who doesn't have the cojones to stand up to Trump proper. And let's of course remind ourselves that Trump's gone from declaring victory to asking for help in a very short amount of time. With the Strait of Hormuz still closed, of course, Iran continued to have the upper hand. And as Zach Polanski mentioned in his address during that clip, the new Ayatollah is in fact even more extreme and hardline than his predecessor. So as I expected, it's failed on all fronts. I expect that Trump imagined it was Lord of the Rings rules and just have to take out one person, the whole thing falls. It's structured very differently than he thinks. For example, there are a committee of 80 people who select the leader, and that's a broad target. Even though they are taking out other officials, it's essentially whack-a-mole, if you want to put it that way. I know it's a bit of a grotesque term to use, but it's ineffective, is the point I'm trying to make. So yeah, like Corbyn said there, we should do as the Spanish did and just refuse. No US planes on British soil, thank you very much. Really can't believe, well, I can, you know. Actually, when you look at who we're talking about, that he capitulated so much, then expects us all to think that it's not happening. Shout out time once again to our dear members on my left eye. Thanks for celebrating milestones as well in the chat, that's always nice to see. And yeah, final reminder, if you're watching on a mobile device, a tablet, a phone, do open some video content, hit thumbs up, and it should or might give you the option to donate some hype points. Please consider using that. It takes just a moment and goes a long way in helping to support us on the algorithm. But we do appreciate the support wherever it comes from. Stick around, people. We are coming close towards the end of this stream. We'll be raiding somewhere else. I've got my left eye on who's streaming as we speak. Thanks again, members. The Mighty Brew Crew. I believe we'll go into no justice. Yeah, I think it was Davinia who pointed out in a comment on, yesterday's stream, I think we might have tried to raid into each other at the same time. Some very bizarre timing going on there yesterday, so let's see if it works this evening. Well, that's crazy, isn't it? If you played them both at the same time. Right, so that's set. And let's finish off and get raiding before No Justice does likewise. But we did run on for quite a bit longer than we normally do yesterday. All that remains here, though, people, is for me to thank you for your presence, thank you for your cordiality in the chat. This has been the Brews at 10. On my left eye, I've been your host, Lefty. Power to the people, free Palestine, Lebanon, Sudan, and Yemen. Don't let the bastards grind you down. Don't watch the news. Be the news. My left eye. I'll be seeing you soon. Good night.
The door is open and you can leave.
It's what Hitler and Goering did, and it is textbook. And if you think the next time it happens, we're gonna recognize it because they're wearing scary uniforms, you're out of your damn mind.